Good morning. Hope this finds you well. We waited until today to get this video to you because we wanted to see what would happen with oil prices after the U.S. hit Iran, to which Iran said it would respond and potentially close the Strait of Hormuz, which supplies 20% of global oil. Now, while we were expecting for oil prices to gush higher on that news, it's up a whopping 79 cents this morning. However, a spike could still happen, especially if Iran does retaliate. U.S. bases are at risk. Americans have been issued travel warnings, and no one really knows what could happen next. Major cities across the country now have increased security after those attacks. Even supertankers currently in the Strait of Hormuz are turning around as the world braces for the potential for retaliation. And of course, in anticipation of higher oil prices, stocks like ExxonMobil is taking off. So is Chevron, CVX. In fact, we believe that both could easily gush higher on the potential for retaliation and closure of the Strait of Hormuz. And as a bonus with this video, we wanted to give you two ways to trade ExxonMobil and Chevron. Now, to trade ExxonMobil, buy to open the XOM July 18th, 2025, 115 calls at market at the open. To trade CVX, buy to open the CVX July 18th, 2025, 150 calls at market at open. With a good deal of uncertainty with Iran, do be cautious until things begin to blow over. Let's now talk about buys and holds and exits that we have issued in all of our programs. We can start with NETA, or News Event Trade Alert. Over the last week, we highlighted opportunity in Generac Holdings, GNRC, again, as a trade on the heat wave, the potential for blackouts, and hurricane season. Now, as you can see here, GNRC again caught support just under 125. It's beginning to pivot higher. If it can now break above resistance at around 132, we'd like to see it closer to 140 a share in the near term. We still like Generac a lot, especially with the heat wave and especially with the hurricane season, which usually sends Generac even higher because it's a generator company. In NETA, we'll have a few new NETA trades coming out this week as well. Over in Trigger Point, we closed half of the Palantir, PLTR, June 27th, 2025, 125 calls for a win. These ran from 640 to 975. The next day, we exited the second half, which ran from 640 to 1155 because expiration was nearing quickly. We then opened a new position in the Palantir July 3rd, 2025, 133 calls. And again, in Trigger Point, we exited half of those Palantir 133 calls, which ran from 1015 to 1480. And then, to capture even more potential wins in PLTR, we also opened the PLTR June 27th, 2025, 143 calls, which we would like to close out later this week ahead of expiration. We also, in Trigger Point, jumped out of the AMD June 20, 2025, 120 calls. These ran from 620 to 12. We also opened a new position in the HIMS July 18th, 2025, 60 calls, which we may look to close with the underlying stock now up to $64 and quickly gaining momentum. Here, if HIMS can break above $70 a share, we'd like to see it initially retest 75. Next up is tech stock profits. We opened a new position in the AMD July 18th, 2025, 125 calls, which we may look to take more wins on. We also closed out the SOUN June 20, 2025, 10 calls for a full loss. Unfortunately, that one went against us very, very badly. We also exited half of the AMD July 18th, 2025 125 calls, which ran from 7 to 10:35. And we also picked up the AMD July 18th, 2025 135 calls. And as you can tell, we really do like the AMD stock, especially as it just begins to break higher on CEO bullishness. We believe AMD could claw its way back to at least 150 in the near term. Over in quick moves, we exited half of the Royal Caribbean RCL July 3rd, 2025 265 put for a win, ran from 680 to 12. And we also picked up the Carnival CCL July 18th, 2025 23 put. Over in Algo AI, we exited, surprise, surprise, the AMD June 20, 2025 115 calls, which ran from 520 to 785. And we picked up the AMD July 18th, 2025 120 calls. We would also go on to exit half of the AMD July 18th, 2025 130 calls, which ran from 470 to 625. Typically, we don't like to issue similar trades across the board, but we do like AMD a lot. We believe it could trend even higher, so we wanted everybody exposed to these opportunities that we're finding just in this stock alone. In Algo AI last Friday, we unfortunately had to close out the Amazon June 2025 calls and the Apple June 2025 calls for a loss. They both went against us in a very crazed market. Other than that, stay tuned for many new trade opportunities. We've been a bit cautious lately with the trade war and now this Iranian issue. For us, we'd rather not rush a trade. Instead, we want to deliver quality trades that have a higher chance of paying off. If we rush, you lose money. And you and I don't want that. That being said, as always, if you have a question, comment, or anything, please reach out and I'll get back to you as quickly as possible. We'll talk again very soon. Thanks so much.